how's it going out there today, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great day. Making a video here about being an owner-operator, going from company driver to owner-operator. This is for an owner-operator leased to a carrier, percentage-based, preferably not a mega carrier, in my opinion, because I feel like they don't care about you enough. That's my take. So, let's talk about some things that you need to do to become a truck owner and lease it to a carrier. This is for running someone else's numbers. This is not about getting your own authority. And so let's get to it. Number one, I think you got to do is be patient. You're not going to rush into it. You know what I mean? If you do, you're probably going to get yourself in a little bit of trouble. You need to take the time and do it properly. And actually, of the things I have listed here, and these are kind of in the order I think you should do them. I mean, if you put one before another, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But I do think this is kind of a step-by-step like roadmap for you. So, and honestly, buying a truck is the very last one. I know when you start thinking about becoming an owner-operator, you want to rush out, you want to buy that truck. There's a lot of things you got to do before you buy that truck. Number one is be patient. You know, the old adage of, you know, old bull, young bull standing up on the hill. Young bull says, let's run down and get us a cow. And the old bull says, let's walk down and get them all. You know, it's kind of that mindset. Take your time, think it through, do the right thing. I think the first thing you need to do, be patient. Number two is, what kind of freight are you going to haul? Figure out what kind of freight you're going to haul, you know. Determine what works well for your area where you live. That should determine some of it. What you have experience in. These are all things that should be considered when hauling freight. What kind of freight you're going to haul. Number three, find a truck for motivational purposes. This truck's probably, you know, and I'm not saying put a lot of time into it, but start researching trucks, okay? And this is for motivation. You're not going to buy this truck. This truck's probably not going to be available by the time you work through all these steps. Possibly, maybe, but I mean, these steps I would assume are going to take you a few weeks to work through, to really put the time into them, do them properly. You know, if you're a company driver right now, you know, work through these steps, put the thought into it, put the effort into it. So, you know, just find a truck that you like. I suggest get a truck that you're somewhat familiar with. Maybe when you've been driving as a company driver, if you like that type of truck, if you can afford that type of truck. You know, now that would be a good time to start working on price ranges. Like, you know, if you're the type of guy, like, you know, say you want a Volvo, say you want a 670 Volvo. That's the model, that's make and model. Say I want a 10-speed. I want I-shift. You know, these are the things you need to start working out now in your head. You know, truckpaper.com has a lot of refining. You know, you can do a lot of drop downs that you know, select certain things about certain trucks. You know, learn about the trucks before you decide to buy a truck. Don't just run out and buy the first truck that someone will approve you for financing, or, you know, a super cheap truck that needs a lot of work on it when you don't have the money or the skills to get that truck roadworthy. These are all things, if you start rushing them, it's going to end badly. So just remember, patience. It's not just a Guns N' Roses song. It should be a way of life in this strategy. So you start doing some research on some trucks. And once you kind of get an idea, you know, what kind of freight you're going to haul, you know what I mean? Like, I would recommend a fuel-efficient truck if this is going to be your first truck. You know, something that's fuel-efficient. Fuel is your number one cost as an owner-operator is going to be putting fuel in that truck. For the most guys and the most girls out there, it's going to be fuel as your number one cost. I recommend a fuel-efficient truck. If you're going to haul flatbed, maybe a mid-roof or, you know, a low top would work okay. But if you're going to be pulling a van or a reefer, I recommend a truck that, you know, a truck as tall as the trailer. Get that aerodynamic truck, make it work for you. Don't spend all your money on fuel. A good fuel efficient truck will pay for itself versus a flat front truck. So don't even worry about resale value. It's irrelevant. So what's next? Research carriers. Find the carriers that operate the way you want to operate, percentage based, leasing on to them. Find ones that haul the kind of freight you want to haul. I recommend smaller to mid-sized carriers in your area. Typically, they have connections closer to where they're at. So, when you come home, you don't have as much trouble getting home or getting out. If you just pick a random carrier that's, in a weird location from where you're at, there's not really a good freight lane back and forth. It could be trouble getting home. I like having a carrier near my house. It allows me, most of the time, it'll allow you a place to park the truck. Most of the time, it will, have some additional benefits. So I like a carrier that's in my area somewhat. So research carriers. What do they haul? And who do they haul for? Things like that. These are things you're going to ask the carriers. Who their major clients are. So keep that in mind. The next one, number 5, learn business and taxes. You're not just buying a truck, you're starting a business. Be sure, you could lose a lot of money in taxes if you're not done properly. At this time of the game, I think you should be learning about business, books, audio books, Google lessons, you know what I mean? Business strategies, business mindsets, things like that. Go ahead and set you up a business checking account to keep your business money separate from your personal money. Do all this stuff, get all this in order before you even really get serious about buying a truck. Learn about the taxes of it. Learn about how you need to set your business up in your area. Some states, they require additional licensing and things like that. So figure out what all you need for your area, LLCs and whatnot. Insurances you'll need as far as workman's comp, things like that. That's a good time to start researching all of that. Number 6, what I think you should do next, funding the business. How are you going to fund this operation? If you're saving up money, continue to save up money. I think if you buy a truck, if you're gonna finance a truck, like a $40,000 to $50,000 aerodynamic truck, and I'm gonna put out a video soon about purchasing your first truck, some strategies on that. But for right now, let's just stick to the funding of it. Are you going to pay cash? I think above and beyond the truck price, leasing onto a carrier, I think you need about ballpark $10,000 to $15,000. Set aside specifically for just running the business. If you have a really expensive household incomes, you may want to up that a little bit. But most of the time, if you lease onto a carrier, you're not going to have to wait the 30 days or the 90 days. They can most of the time they settle you out before, the bill gets paid on the first. It gives you a nice little padding there. Like I said, most carriers you're going to lease onto, they're not going to make you wait it out. So you'll have some money coming in pretty soon. You just want to make sure that you've got enough to run your house, which is always a good idea just in general. So maybe a little bit of savings for that. If you're going to get a loan on the truck, you need to factor in maybe having the first month's payment ready, before you even get the loan. That way it buys you a little time, a little window there. If you're going to put $5,000 to $6,000, $7,000 down on a $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 truck, it's a pretty reasonable down payment. Little side note, check out the funding booth. I watched Asian Mai did a video with the guy that runs the funding booth. They finance commercial equipment. If you have ever tried to go to your local bank and get funding for commercial equipment, you will see very quick that it is very difficult. you need a place that specializes in funding commercial equipment. Asian Mai is part owner of that business, but check them out. It's called the Funding Booth. Very good live show the other day they did. I enjoyed it. I thought they had a lot of good information. So keep that in mind. Funding, what are you going to need to fund? You're going to need a down payment on the truck, or you're going to have to buy the truck outright. You're going to need insurance, things like that. So start accumulating this list of things you're going to need to purchase. That way you can put your budget together. And I recommend also, when you start getting it into a more serious level of, funding it and things like that, start looking into some software to manage your business as well. Makes it much easier, QuickBooks or something like that, I personally prefer QuickBooks, very simple to use, but something like that can really save you a lot of time and effort when it comes down to knowing your numbers and when it comes time to do taxes. And so you've got it funded, you've researched carriers, you've researched trucks, you've learned about business and taxes and all that good stuff. Now what do? I think it's time now we pinpoint a carrier. You've done the research, narrow it down to the one you're going to go with, call them up, and a lot of times this will come down, if you're going to get a loan, maybe you reverse these steps as far as like getting a loan and picking a carrier. Because sometimes when you go to get a loan for commercial equipment, if you've already got your carrier picked out, you can go ahead and put the application in with the carrier and get pre-qualified and get yourself a letter of intent from the carrier saying, yes, if this person had a truck, we would allow them to lease on to us. If they had and of course the truck would have to be DOT and all that. There'll be stipulations to it. But when you go to get funding, that is a huge bonus. You can show to your person that you're trying to get a loan from for a truck, show them, hey, this carrier, I'm already pre-qualified, I've got a letter of intent, I just need the truck, and that will help out a lot. And so pinpoint the carrier, figure out what that carrier needs from you day one. Do they offer a tag program? Do you want to get your tag through the carrier? These are all things you got to think about. I kind of prefer more of a local carrier, so you're not, typically a tag is give or take. You know what I mean? If they offer a tag program and it doesn't have interest on it, let them buy the tag. If you're in a state where tags are cheaper than the state the carrier's in, you may be better off just to go buy your own tag. But these are all things you got to think about, because tags can vary, per state. So you want to keep track of that. See what kind of insurance the carrier needs, or what kind of insurance they offer. Because, my insurance is cheaper through my carrier than if I went out and shopped it around, and it's cheaper through the carrier. So just depends on what you want to do there. That can be a little bit of a hassle if you decide to leave carriers. So, it's up to you on that. At this point, we've pretty much got it locked down. We got the carrier, we got the funding, we got the knowledge, we got, the trucks, kind of an idea, we're pinpointing trucks. So, yeah, after you choose the carrier, you've got your funding, let's go buy a truck. It's time to buy a truck. And at that point, the research you've done on trucks, like I said, hopefully the truck you want is there and available. And if not, you may have to, look around a little bit. You may have to settle on, if you want one that's a certain color, you may not get the certain color. It's not the end of the world, though, if it's not the right color, right? Anyway, guys, that's it. I hope this helps. If you have any comments, leave me a comment. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I prefer you do it that way. That way everyone can help answer, and they can, if someone else has the same question, it can be answered once in the comments versus, You know, it takes me longer to get to the emails. If you have a more personal question, maybe like with a health concern and getting into trucking or something, you don't want to put that out there. Or a financial question you don't want to put out there. You can email me. I'll try to answer it, but it does take longer for me to get to those because there's more of those. Be sure to hit the thumbs up if you watched this far. Thank you for watching this far. Click that subscribe and that bell because we're going to be putting out videos that relate to this subject in the next couple days. So until then, guys, take care of each other. Thanks for watching. Bye.